Hi, this is Swapnil Bhartiya, and we are here at Open Source Summit in Minneapolis. And today we have with us Eilon Elhadad, CEO and co-founder of Echo. Eilon, it's great to have you on the show.
Great to have you.
It's my pleasure to talk to you. And you folks are building something really interesting, especially when it comes to security and open source. And before we started the interview, you said this is your second company. So I would love to know a bit about your background. And of course, quickly about the previous company, which will create a very good foundation for Echo.
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, I think everything started when I served in the Israeli Defense Forces. I basically was in the Israelis NSA. I built cybersecurity solutions for 7 years, and I led the entire division. And immediately after that, me and my second co-founder, Eilon, we built a company that's called Argon. We were pioneering in software supply chain security. It wasn't a big thing back then. Today, everybody talk about it. And we have a very big success. And after a year, we were acquired by Aqua, that it's also a cloud security player. And that's what led us to see many organizations deal with CVEs and vulnerabilities. And that's the main reason we decided to build Echo.
Let's also explain to folks when we talk about CVEs and vulnerabilities, how different it is when we look at the larger security when it comes to software stack.
Yes, so basically CVEs and vulnerabilities, that's a known path for attacker to get into your systems in general. And it can affect your entire stack. And the idea is that in this world of the AI world, you are chasing after them because you can keep up. In the last year, 30,000 vulnerabilities figured out by the NVD. And we are speaking that in a few years, it will become millions in a year. So organizations just can keep up with it.
So you're talking container image, right? When you talk, especially, or you're talking about open source libraries?
Open source community.
But that is a big, the surface is too large because there are millions of open source projects and they all depend on those different libraries. And of course, you put them all together, create container images. So talk about the vastness of the risks that we're talking about here.
So in general, that's a very big problem to tackle, yeah. That's the main reason we think we are seeing that it can be a big company on these days. Because when you look about open source, it's the entire world. We specifically started with containers. We focus on containers and provide vulnerability-free containers. But then our customers said, listen, the attack path doesn't stop in the container itself. It's also expand for the open source libraries. So we start patching libraries and trying to prevent also software supply chain attack. And yeah, if you want to build big company in these days, you need to deliver significant protection for your customers.
Right. And can you also explain, when we talk about container images, the container itself is, you just take a lot of things and, sometimes the interesting thing is that, especially after Docker containers, folks will either, get a container. Of course, they have private repository as well. They don't even know what is in that container. They don't even know where the links are heading to. So the more you make things easier, the more it can become challenging. So can you also talk about the challenges that you're seeing today when it comes to either container images or libraries? Also, nowadays, security is no longer an afterthought, right? Especially the push with the CNCF and the cloud native. Security is that's why we have seen the whole DevSecOps. Security has become a board level discussion. Organizations have CISOs now. So security is no longer someone else's problem. Security is no longer an afterthought. So are you also seeing that there is a lot of awareness about it? So when folks walk to you here at the booth, they are not, what do you folks do? Rather, they come and ask very hard questions that this is, so where is security today?
Yeah, so I think today, as you mentioned, DevSecOps is basically a position that should, create a bridge between developers to security. Today, every, respectful company has a CISO. And when people coming to the booth, they are literally know to ask about how you can prevent Axios, how you can prevent the next of the supply chain attack. What do you do that, how you can keep up with all of those AI models that will find new vulnerabilities. So organizations are highly educated. And we also see a big trend that it's not longer only security issue. Engineers and developers are a big part of this challenge, and they need to help to the organization to deal with the challenge.
Also, nowadays, a lot of awareness also about S-bombs are there, X-bombs are also coming out. But the focus is more on I mean, unless you know what's in your pipe, how will you secure it? It's like, the assembly line of a car. You need to know every component. So that is the essential part. But protecting is the next step. But a lot of our companies are already doing it. And from my experience, I feel that security is kind of a sticky. Once you go with a company, you just, it's not like you don't change vendors very often. So talk about how much things have improved, and also the whole software supply chain. Also in Europe, CRA is coming. It's always there. Next year, the implementation is happening around the globe. Organizations are, especially AI, people are becoming more and more sensitive. So what I'm trying to understand is, because this area is so big and large to talk about, I would love to understand how Echo work, supply chain, what's in your code base, what's in your container images, what libraries, what dependencies that you rely on, and then to protect it. And then also we'll talk about how do you protect it, whether customer protect it or you protect it. So let's talk about one by one.
Okay, so one by one. First of all, like from a perspective of visibility, today organizations in a stage that they are very mature. They have SBOMs, there are many cloud security out there. Most of them, by the way, partnering with Echo or use Echo behind the scenes. So from visibility perspective, you have like every organization have a few scanners. You can see everything, but the hard part is to fix and to stop chasing after vulnerability. That's the main challenge of them today. The second piece is regulation. You mentioned CRA. CRA is kind of the equivalent for FedRAMP. So there is a big like catalyst of the market that like the big organization, if you want to work with them, you need to be certified and to be compliant by CRA and FedRAMP. So the market also understand that it's not anymore a question if you want to do it, you have to do it. That's what regulation bring. And that's the last piece to what you mentioned. Echo is dealing, I think from our perspective, the most important part. So visibility is done. You need to fix it. How you fix it? You are not running and chasing after that. You're building secure by design. That means that the approach is completely changed. It's not shift left anymore, shift right. It's like you are consuming from a trusted source and from enterprise source everything that you need. So today you are consuming containers from Echo that they patched by Echo, and then you are moving and consume open source libraries that vetted by Echo and also patched by Echo. Okay. And once you are doing those things in your visibility dashboard, you will see that it's clean.
So you are providing them with libraries, you become their source for libraries. So why don't you work directly with the upstream project so that the libraries are fixed at their end versus downstream? My question is more or less to do with, now they have to depend on your container images.
Correct.
And that is more or less like vendor lock-in issue it could be. And it could also be they were worried about how long can we trust Echo, how long will the Echo be around. So I'm also looking at sustainability.
Yeah, so I will divide my answer for two. One, when today you are buying a laptop, you trust your, let's say, Microsoft or Apple, it's depending what's your flavor, to patch and to make sure that it's secure. Why it's so different in the cloud? Why when a big bank pulling something from the internet, maybe let's say a young kid built it, who knows? So same approach here, you need an enterprise and you need to choose the vendor to trust. If you're asking why to trust Echo, couple of answers. One, we were pioneering software supply chain security. My CTO built the CIS benchmark for software supply chain security. We built maybe one of the biggest open source around the world of container scanning. We raised $50 million. We have like many, backed by very strong people, like industry leaders that building those solutions for the last 15 years. So I think it's a great start then like to put it from the internet, honestly.
Right. But there are so many containers images, but I also want to understand, how do you work with upstream projects and how do you work with customer? It's more like, let's say a customer is depending on these 10 container images. So do you vet and verify those images, or you provide the images on your own portal and they pick and choose? What I'm trying to understand is because everybody's use case is different.
Correct.
So how do you work with the vendors and how do you work with the upstream projects?
So our approach is, first of all, to build as much as we can from source and like to build from upstream. So when the customer is going to our portal and do something that's called mirroring, like pull all of the images to his organization, he will have everything ahead. It could happen that in some cases he needs something. So when he needs something, he just make a request via API, like via our services, and like he will get it really quickly to his registry. So that's from that perspective. From the upstream maintainers, actually, we are doing a lot. We are trying to help them. You can see like we published a few custom patch that we contribute. So basically, we have seen that there is no patch in the upstream for some vulnerabilities. So we patched by ourselves, and of course, immediately we contributed to the upstream. We recently had a very big announcement about a new CVE that discovered that we did with Sierra. So we also contribute that to the upstream. We are trying to be as collaborative as we can with the upstream, and from the other side to deliver to our customers as much as they need from containers perspective.
So how is Echo different from, let's say, ChainGuard or Minimus? There are a lot of players in this space.
Yeah, I think like the main thing that we look about ourselves compared to the competitors is that we know that the biggest gap for organization is the time to value.
Right.
How fast they can implement and consume your great technology. When we build Echo and we build, like, for example, our container images, we are completely compatible and similar to the upstream. So the organization doesn't need to do any change. So compared to the competitors, like we don't need like a long time of implementation. The organization just consume us and it will work like a magic out of the box because we look exactly like the upstream.
Can you talk about, of course, you may or may not be able to name, but if you can share some use cases or name some companies, I'm more interested in use cases where they have used your images and that helped them protect. And also, it also kind of reduces the toil on their own security teams, especially in this age of AI era where a lot of code is generated by AI. So it reduces their, so if you can share some use case and example, that would be great.
Absolutely, I can share like a few. One of them, and they are a great partner of ours, UiPath, it's a public company. We also did a big case study with them. Like they had, I would say, hundreds of different type of container images. That means tens of thousands of microservices. It's a company that exists like 20 years. And I think like in less than a quarter, they achieved like almost full deployment, full blown, also in their customer environments. Why? Because their solution is basically shipped to their customers. So they shipped Echo bundled with the UiPath platform. Another big use case that we spoke about it a lot, it's EDB. Basically, they're developing a Postgres database. The CISO mentioned that they are basically saving more than 200 hours of engineering, like every release. That's a huge thing. And it's completely also integrated to the AI. So today, AI agents use Echo in those organizations to build software.
When you folks patch all these images and make sure that the libraries are self-secure, how much, as compared to the previous company we're using, because of AI and also the adoption of open source has grown, how much more work you have to do as compared to earlier?
So first of all, we don't believe that we could do it like 5 years ago. In a gross margin justify a company. What I mean, you can bring thousands of engineers, but it's not scalable. And then also the customers feel the price. Here, like we have like amazing group of engineers that basically built AI agents that do the patching, doing the analysis, creating the images. So instead, and there are of course like a security engineer and people in the loop. But the majority of the work is we are building AI agents that are doing most of the work when we are sleeping.
Yep, I fully understand because we have also automated a lot of things, not at that scale, but I can fully, and AI has made life a lot, it's always a double-edged sword, right? So it can do some damage, but it can also bring a lot of benefit. Talk a bit about, you mentioned 50 million, funding. Talk about the funding and stability of and the growth of the company as well.
Yes, so the company, we founded it at 25, raised 50 million, have high of dozens of number of public companies, some of the biggest banks working with us and putting their trust in us. We are honestly trying to be humble. We are working hard every day, but we are getting every day, requests to put money in the company. We have runway for a few years. And right now we are focusing on delivering value to our customers.
Previous company you sold, what is your vision and goal for this company?
Many people are asking me, like, what's our motivation? Why you are working? Like, you don't need to work anymore. And actually, that's the truth, that we don't need to work anymore. We are here because there is an opportunity to build like the next big like operating system for AI agents in the cloud era. It's a huge mission that everything that's running on top of the cloud should be based on Echo. And that's the main reason we are here. We want to build something big.
And what is your engagement with open source communities? Because you are here at the open source summit as well. So how closely you work with open source?
So I mentioned a couple of points. One of them is that we are contributing patches to the open source community. If we see that the upstream, and we did that many times, you can see like in our website that we announced about it. If we see that the maintainer can solve it and doesn't have the resource to solve it, we will contribute the custom patch. Recently, with another partner of ours, we discovered CVE and we let the community know. Now we are working with the Debian community on a patch that we contribute, and you will see as soon as the announcement. So we are trying as much as we can to contribute back to the community.
Awesome, Eilon. Thank you so much for joining me and sharing more information of the company, because this is a problem area and then you folks solve it. Thank you for your time, and I'd love to talk to you again. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.